here we are, episode 11 of Reacting to Crash videos. If you guys have seen this series before, you know the deal. We're gonna take a look at a number of crash videos from the interwebs. We're gonna break them down, and we're pretty much gonna see that a lot of these situations could have been avoided. I like to say paramotors don't just spontaneously fall out of the sky. There's always a reason why certain things happen. So we're gonna look at those reasons today. In this episode specifically, we have 6 different crashes, which I think is a new record. As always, we're gonna kind of start from the more mellow ones and work our way up to the more insane ones, so stick around to the end to see those. And finally, before we get into the first video, you guys know right now we're doing an epic giveaway at Risky Biscuits Co. This video is going live on Tuesday. The giveaway is over on Saturday, the 31st of October, so we're in the final stretch. There's not much time to get entered. The grand prize for this giveaway is a tandem flight with myself. I'm gonna take you up, we're gonna go flying, we're gonna make a video about it, and it's gonna be awesome. Just recently, we added a second and third prize, GoPro 7 Blacks. These cameras are awesome, so those will go out to 2 winners as well. If you want to get entered, check out the link in the description for tuckergott.com. Every $5 spent on the web store gets you 1 entry to win. Make sure you also fill out the giveaway form, which is a tab at the top of the web store, and see the 3rd link in the description for the full contest rules. There's not much time left, so get entered before the end. I'm really stoked to go flying with one of you guys. It's gonna make an awesome video. All right, so let's get into video number 1. This one was sent to me privately by my man Tommy, so thanks to Tommy for sharing this. This was a bit of a scary situation. So Tommy says him and his buddy Jeff were out on a cross-country morning flight. They're on their return leg home. They're up at altitude, just cruising along, having a grand old time. Like good flying buddies do, they decide to set up for a mutual tip touch. So they bring it in. Now the tip touch wasn't perfect. It took a little bit of work to get in there and get lined up, but the action starts to happen right after the tip touch. So they drift apart. He stows his brakes. He knows his buddy Jeff is out in front of him, but then he looks down and starts pulling out his phone. He said he was thinking of taking a picture of Jeff, and all of a sudden he looks up to the right and freaking Jeff is right there, all up in his lines. So if we go back in the clip, I personally started to have anxiety when he looked down and continued looking down for an extended period of time. Now that's okay to do if you're at altitude and you're alone. Obviously you want to still look up and look for potentially other air traffic coming by. But with his buddy Jeff, in very close proximity, you do not want to look at your phone for more than like a second or 2. Turns out what happened was both pilots were doing the same thing at the same time. They got their tip touch, they drifted apart, and then both of them started looking at their phones, completely distracted, completely unaware of what was going on around them, until they literally crossed paths, touched each other, and then both guys looked up, yanked brake, and got out. They were extremely lucky that they didn't get tangled up in this situation. Tommy says that he did have a reserve, which is awesome. He said his buddy Jeff did not, which is not so awesome. Had they gotten tangled, worst case scenario, they would have been relying on 1 reserve and some torn up fabric to bring them down safely, which is not the most ideal situation. All right, so let's move on to video number 2. I have to apologize on this one. I saved this somewhere on my computer and I totally forgot and cannot find who sent this to me. So if you are the guy that sent it to me, comment down below. The channel name is Kimu. I guess that's how you say it. So this one's pretty freaking scary. Dude man is set up. He's launching in very minimal wind. He's got his buddies around him. Dude jumps out of the way. He takes off. Seems pretty smooth, but he's hooking to the right. You can't really tell completely, but you can tell he's not quite flying straight. His camera angle's all janky, and I can almost feel the torque. The problem is, Dude Man just holds full power the whole time. He starts to build an oscillation, and meanwhile he's trying to stow his brakes, probably to get into the harness, still holding full power, and bam, out of nowhere, line twist. Luckily, at this point, he does the right thing, reduces power, shimmies out of it, he kicks his legs a little bit, And now he does another good thing and goes to idle and just lands immediately. So it's hard to say with 100% certainty exactly why this happened. If I had to guess, I would say the motor was set up improperly. Maybe the hang point was way off. Maybe a strap was connected improperly. Maybe torque compensation was in the wrong direction. Who knows? The best thing he could have done in this situation before he twisted around under his risers would be to reduce power. When you find yourself in a situation where torque is overpowering, the torque is coming from the power, so to make the torque go away, you reduce the power. In this situation, he had altitude, he didn't have any obstacles. He could have reduced down at least to cruise power, kind of got it sorted, maybe did pattern and landed. If it was really, really bad, just go straight to idle. If you have open space, land it. I personally purposefully kicked into line twist once in an SIV course, and I was a bit surprised that after you get like a full rotation in, it doesn't really want to spin you back. In fact, in my situation, I wanted to weather vane and twist up even more. So I know what it feels like, and it's kind of scary to be twisted around with a motor on your back. All right, let's move on to video number 3. This one's posted by Predator Paramotor on YouTube, and this is at the Arizona Flying Circus fly-in. So what's going on here? It appears from the video that the winds are really, really strong. You can see the flags in the background are completely straight out. Nobody is flying except for one pilot, and that kind of tells you something. Obviously, this pilot is very experienced. He appears to be on a Viper 4, and it looks like a really, really small Viper 4. He takes off, and immediately you can tell conditions are not ideal. He's getting rocked around, turbulence is bad. So he sets up for basically a crosswind foot drag where he's supposed to pick up a banner of some sort and completely biffs.
Okay, we have Jerry Cinder from St. Louis flying the paramotor. He's across the runway here. He's gonna try to pick up the flag. Let's see if he does it. Oh!
He does not.
So dude goes down. I love and I hate how his glider gets sucked into the propeller. It's kind of satisfying to watch, but at the same time, you know he just did hundreds of dollars in damage. Thankfully, he's okay. Everyone helps him up and gathers the pieces of the wreckage. How is this preventable? I think it's kind of obvious. It seems like the conditions were not ideal for flying, especially not ideal for doing a foot drag and picking up a banner to tow. Other things to take away from this: shrapnel went flying. It's really important to be far away from people because worst case scenario, if you biff, you gotta think that pieces might go flying. I can't really say that there's one specific thing, if he hit the power harder or he pulled the brakes sooner, that he would have been fine. I think it was just the combination of really bad conditions and trying a difficult maneuver that led to this. All right, video number 4 and 5 are gonna go together because they're basically the exact same situation and they're both posted by the same channel, Fly Crash Aviation. You know those clips where the cameraman looks away or turns off the camera right when the action happens? I'm gonna give you a warning. This is one of the worst situations of that. So let's play the clip. Paramotor is taking off on a beach. Everything seems pretty normal. Launch goes well. He's climbing out. Winds seem fine. And then he banks into a super aggressive turn, spins his glider. Now let's take a look at video number 5. Same sort of situation happens. So this time dude's just flying along and he decides to do a pretty aggressive maneuver. So I included these two videos because they're pretty much the same situation happening, and they really go hand in hand. Not only did the pilot pull an excessive amount of brake to induce a spin, but both pilots look to be flying kind of older gear. What we've found in more recent years is wing technology has come so far that I really bet if these pilots were on modern wings and pulled the exact same maneuver, they wouldn't have spun. That doesn't say you can just yank a ton of brake on modern wings and they'll never spin. They will, but it takes a lot more to get to that point. So first point is obviously don't over control. Don't monkey arm it all the way down to your butt and induce a spin regardless of what gear you're flying. The second point is, if you can, really try to stick to the modern gear. I would never really suggest someone get into the sport by going on Craigslist and finding a 15-year-old wing for a really good deal and going out and flying it, because obviously they're a lot more susceptible to things like this happening. All right, on to video number 6, the final video, and this is from I can't pronounce names. It'll be linked down below. This is an old video posted in 2013. They're flying up in Canada in a really, really beautiful location. So the flight seems to be going extraordinarily well, flying through some fog, low clouds, which is not the smartest thing, but hey, I don't know what the rules are in Canada. Obviously the landscape here is beautiful. They're flying by huge mountains, but towards the end is where we start to see trouble happen. Now, first off, this is not where the accident happens, but this kind of sets off a few alarms. You see the pilot bank into a steep maneuver, and you see their left hand only on the tip steer line, not on the main brake toggle, and they're relatively low to the ground. This is not something I would really recommend anyone do. And we see this maneuver bite them very shortly after. So the pilot's doing the same sort of thing, only using the left tip steer, and just piles into the ground. If we go back and freeze the frame, it's really hard to tell, but you can see the left riser, they only have the tip steer, once again, not your main brake toggle. And if you look on the right riser, they're just grabbing the riser itself. They have zero controls on their right hand. Now, here's a very short thing about the main brakes and the tip steer. So on a glider like this, the tip steer and the main brakes are independent. Your main brakes, obviously, you can turn and maneuver with them, and they connect to the entire trailing edge of the wing. Not only can you turn, but if you pull both, it creates a pitching maneuver. That's how you land. That's how you flare and slow down your forward speed by pitching the wing back by pulling on both your main brakes. The tip steer, however, only connects to the very tip of the wing, and that will also make you turn, but it will not make you pitch. If you pull both tips, you're not gonna get really any pitching movement. So obviously using the main brakes is favorable at a low altitude because it gives you another aspect of control. If all of a sudden you hit some sinking air, not only can you gun the power, but you can pull some brake to get a temporary amount of lift. So I think this was really an improper use of controls. They should have been on the main brake toggles, and just a poor piloting decision. Even with the controls they had, obviously they just flew themselves into the ground. Luckily, the pilot was uninjured. The gear was kind of damaged. Through and through, this situation definitely could have been prevented. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed all 6 of those videos. Be sure to check them out down below if you'd like to see the full clips, and be sure to get entered into the giveaway before the 31st. Pick up a sweet t-shirt like this blueprint design, or a nice patch hat. You might find a GoPro at your doorstep. You might find yourself in the front seat of my trike-mobile. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, fly safe, have fun, peace.